Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle. Um, and I want to talk to you about one of the biggest issues facing America currently. Besides COVID-19, we all know that COVID is running rampant in the United States. But besides that, I want to talk to you about the second biggest thing facing America, and that is obesity. Obesity, doctors look at you differently. It's just so many different things. But I have lost 31 pounds last year with very little exercise. How did I do it? What's my secret? Tracking what I eat. What is tracking? What am I talking about? I must be talking a foreign language because tracking is something I've never heard about, right? Well, tracking, according to, excuse me, according to Crystal Dicken from nutrition.org, tracking or food journaling is a method of mindful eating. And then at American Academy of Family Physicians, they say that a food diary is a log of what you eat and drink each day. Why is that important? Think about it. Have you ever gone to a Mexican restaurant and you order and everything's fine, and then all of a sudden they bring out those chips, the beautiful chips and salsa, and you just continue to eat? You take one chip, and before you know it, you're full of the chips and the salsa. Why? Because you are mindlessly eating the chips. You probably consumed the entire basket of chips and the entire container of salsa in that short amount of time because you're enjoying what you're doing. You're enjoying the company. You are talking up a storm. You're not thinking about what you're putting into your mouth. Well, food tracking takes that and it says, okay, I'm going to say I have control over what comes into my mouth and how much it comes in. And food tracking, if you're in that same scenario, food tracking is you're enjoying yourself, you're enjoying the time that you're having, but you have this little plate in front of you because they don't just, you could ask for a plate. And you take only like a handful you count how many chips, or you just take a handful and you put it on your plate, and that's how much you tell yourself you're going to have. And that's the trick of my weight loss, because I didn't do much exercise starting with this 31 pounds. I basically tracked what I ate. And here's why it's so important. It's so important because if you're more conscious about what's going into your body and into your mouth, your brain has this beautiful thing, and your brain is amazing. Without following a particular diet, overweight people who tracked what the food they consumed using a smartphone app or a weight loss journal or a food journal, they lost a significant amount of weight in a Duke University study, according to ScienceDaily.com. According to the study, they had two particular groups. The first group just ate normally and tried to follow the diet. The second group they told them to download an app on their smartphone and track everything that went into mouth, regardless of how many calories it was. Just track it. And they found that those who tracked what they ate lost a more significant amount of weight than those who didn't track. Makes you think. Why is it so important? Your brain finds ways to change what you're eating. Not necessarily change what you're eating, or it changes the amount of what you're eating. Tracking your food can help you remember what you've eaten that day. It's also tracking your calories. If you want to lose weight, you're going to want to do about 1,200 calories, or use the plan you're on, like Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers doesn't do calories. Weight Watchers does points. If you stay within those points, you're going to start losing. If you're also tracking calories, you can see how you're improving and how to achieve that goal of that weight loss. It will let you see if you're eating too much or not enough. And that's the misconception. If you're not getting a certain amount of calories, for women it's 1,200. If you're not getting 1,200 calories, your body's in starvation mode, regardless of whether or not you're trying to lose weight or not. If you're not getting that target amount of calories a day, your body's in starvation mode. And it's not going to lose the fat. It's going to lose the muscle. So try and get that up if you're under that amount of calories. And tracking will help you do that. It will let you see what you're eating. That's what we just covered. It will let you see what time of day you typically get hungry and help you adjust your eating schedule. How is this important? Well, if you're eating right before you go to bed, digestion isn't very good. You aren't digesting your food very well, and therefore you're storing the fat, and your body's not able to process the fat out of your body. It can help you realize if you're eating out of boredom rather than hunger, or thirst out of hunger. Let's start with the first one, boredom. Let's say you are on the couch, you're watching your favorite Netflix series, and you feel hungry. Now, that could be actual hunger, but it could be because you're bored. Or have you ever been on surfing the web and you have chips next to you, or let's say a piece of pizza next to you? You will just continue to, or a whole pizza. You will just continue to eat because you're not thinking about what's going in your mouth. You're thinking about what's on that computer screen or what's on that TV. You're not thinking about the food. You're thinking about the entertainment, not the food. You're thinking about being bored, not the food. There's a difference between boredom hunger and actual hunger. Here's my second point, thirst. We need a lot of water in our diet. Good trick, if you cannot drink the water, add lemon and cucumber. Or add your favorite fruit in your water. It is a great way to flavor your water naturally so that you can actually drink it. Studies have shown that people are more thirsty than hungry a lot of the times. Our brain sometimes doesn't click and know the difference between hunger and thirst. So what I like to do is I like to grab the water before I grab the food. If the water's not satisfying me, I know it's the food and I know it's hunger. So then I'll grab the food. But here's the other trick. That water has actually allowed you to eat less because of the fact that there's some in your system. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is how do you track? Now, I'm going to tell you right here, right now. I've been on several weight loss programs, And every single one of them, here's why I'm talking about food tracking. And here's why I think it's one of the most important things in weight loss. Every single weight loss program that I've been on, let me tell you, every single one of them has an app or has told me to write down what I eat. There's a science to this. Your brain, when you write something down, regardless of whether it's in an app or if it's written down in a notebook, your brain starts to mindfully think about what's in your mouth. It thinks about not just what you're eating, but what the quality of what you're eating. And you'll find that your brain literally starts to change itself just by food tracking. So there's two ways to do food tracking. If you have a smartphone, there's the easiest way possible. Download an app. There are several free apps. You do not have to join a program to do this, to download an app. Lose It is a good one. There's several up there. My Fitness Tracker. Oh, that's another thing. Track your fitness, but we're talking about food. Lose It, My Fitness Tracker. There's several apps out there for Apple and Android. Download the app and do their survey, because their survey is going to tell you how much calories you need in order to lose the weight, because it's different for everybody. Then I challenge you, the first week of this food tracking process, don't pay attention to calories. Just track. Just track. Because in the beginning, you'll feel guilty about how much calories are in your food. The second week, start paying attention. Don't make yourself feel guilty about what you're eating. Just start paying attention to what you're eating. By the second week, your brain will literally help your stomach to lessen the amount of food it intakes. It will literally have this shut off in your brain to say, okay, my stomach's full, I need to stop. The second way is to grab a notebook or a pen. A notebook and a pen, excuse me. So grab a notebook and a pen. If you don't have a smartphone or you don't have access to downloading apps, you don't have to do it electronically. You don't. You can grab a notebook and a pen. The only thing with a notebook and a pen is start with, like I said, the first week, just write down what you want, what you're eating. Not thinking about calories or anything. The second week, do the same thing. Only this time, find out how much you have to do a little bit more research than the people who have the app, because you have to do more math. The app does it for them. You'll have to do the math yourself. So go onto these, search, like for breakfast this morning, I had Carl's Jr. and I haven't eaten everything, but I had their hash browns. I would write down hash browns from Carl's Jr. because not all hash browns are created equal. As even in the fast food industry, not all hash browns are created equal. McDonald's hash browns are not the same calories as Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. hash browns are not the same calories as Sonic, and so on and so forth. So the second week, you're grabbing your notebook, you're grabbing your pen, you're logging your meals, you're logging what you eat, how much water you're taking in. The second week, start to research how much each of the individual meals that you have, how much calories are you taking in a day. By the third week, your brain will automatically start to lower your calorie intake. You'd be surprised what tracking does to your brain. It's amazing. I can tell you that burrito that's I got from Carl's Jr., I'll probably eat maybe half of it because my brain will tell me, "Oh, I'm full," and that's because I've been tracking for a while. So, what are my points? Why do I even do this? Why am I even telling you any of this? Here's why. I want to help you. If I can help one person in weight loss, I will have done my job and I will have felt very rewarded. So, without further ado, the first thing I want to remember what we talked about is what is tracking. Tracking is just basically writing down what you eat and paying attention to what the calorie intake is. Why is it important? Because science has shown that people who track what they eat have lost significantly more weight than those who don't track. So if you look at the study from Duke, those who didn't track lost less than those who did track. It's important to track everything. A lot of people, and when they're first starting out, and this is why I said, don't worry about what you eat during the first week. A lot of people during the first week, they don't track everything. They say, oh, I don't need to track this. Track it. The third thing, get your tools. Remember. If you don't have a smartphone, if you don't have a way to download an app, if your phone is full or if your phone is through your employer and you aren't allowed to do that, grab a notebook and a pen. Make it low tech or go to a website. Lucid has a website. MyFitnessPal has a website. So you can do it that way. Track what you eat and you'd be surprised what happens. My challenge to you is to track and just watch the weight come off.